You checked your blood pressure last week. The numbers looked fine. Maybe a little high, but nothing alarming. And this morning you did what you always do. You got up, moved through your routine, and thought nothing of it. But here is what you don't know. Between the moment you opened your eyes and the moment you sat down for breakfast, something happened inside your arteries. Something that your doctor's appointment will never catch. Something that millions of people over 60 do every single morning without realizing it is quietly, steadily, pushing their blood pressure into dangerous territory. And the most unsettling part? Most people who do this think they are being responsible with their health. I'm Dr. Hayes Anderson. I've spent 22 years as a cardiologist, and I've sat with patients who did everything right, took their medications, avoided salt, walked every day, and still ended up in my office with blood pressure climbing in the wrong direction. When we traced it back, the answer almost always lived in the first 45 minutes of their day. By the end of this, you will know exactly which morning habits are silently driving your blood pressure upward, why they are so dangerous specifically after 60, and what simple changes you can make starting tomorrow morning to reverse the damage. I'll walk you through 4 habits, and I need to warn you right now about habit number 3. It is the one my patients argue with me about the most, and it is the one that concerns me the most. Here is something your average 15-minute doctor's appointment rarely has time to explain. Your blood pressure is not a flat, stable number. It moves. It rises and falls throughout the day. And the most dangerous spike of the entire 24-hour cycle happens in the early morning, typically between 6 a.m. and noon. This is called the morning blood pressure surge. It is a real, documented physiological event, and in people over 60, it is significantly more dangerous than at any other point in life. When you wake up, your body releases a wave of hormones, primarily cortisol and adrenaline, that prepare you for the demands of the day. These hormones raise your heart rate and cause your blood vessels to constrict. In people over 60, those blood vessels are less elastic than they were at 40. They are stiffer. So when that morning surge hits, the pressure spike is sharper and the arteries have less capacity to absorb it. Research has shown that strokes and heart attacks are significantly more common in the morning hours than any other time of day, not because of what people eat for breakfast, but because of what their arteries are doing the moment they wake up, and because of what people do in those first quiet minutes that either protects those arteries or pushes them further toward the edge. You can have perfectly managed blood pressure readings at 3 in the afternoon and still be experiencing dangerous morning surges that are slowly damaging your brain, your kidneys, and your heart. None of this is your fault. But now that you know, let's fix it. Let me tell you about a patient I'll call Ronald, 71 years old, retired engineer, sharp, disciplined, and genuinely committed to his health. He was on 2 blood pressure medications. His readings at the office averaged 136/82. Not perfect, but manageable. He exercised. He avoided processed food. He did everything by the book. But his wife had noticed something. Every morning after Ronald woke up, he looked flushed. His neck was tight. He moved carefully, like someone bracing against a headache that hadn't quite arrived yet. When I asked Ronald to keep a home blood pressure log, specifically measuring within 15 minutes of waking, what we found stopped both of us cold. His morning readings averaged 162/94, 26 points higher than what I was seeing in the office. His arteries were being hammered every single morning while the rest of his day looked relatively controlled. We identified 4 habits in Ronald's morning routine that were driving this surge, and every single one of them is something you may be doing right now. The first habit is one almost every senior I see is guilty of, and most have no idea it is a problem: checking your phone within the first 5 minutes of waking. When you wake up, your stress hormone system is already activated. Cortisol is rising. Your nervous system is shifting from its overnight resting state into daytime mode. Your blood pressure is already beginning its morning climb. Your arteries are at their stiffest point of the day. Now, in that exact moment, you reach for your phone. Within 30 seconds, you are reading news alerts, text messages, or scrolling through things that trigger your brain's threat detection system. A difficult email, a worrying headline, a family message that needs a response. Each one activates a small but real adrenaline response. Your heart rate ticks upward. Your blood vessels constrict a little more. Ronald checked his phone every morning before he got out of bed. Sports scores, emails, news. When we removed that one habit and asked him to delay phone use until after breakfast and a short walk, his average morning reading dropped by 9 points in the first 2 weeks. 9 points. From one change. The fix is simple. Before you reach for your phone, drink a glass of water. Breathe slowly for 2 minutes. Let your nervous system complete its natural transition before you hand it something to react to. The second habit is one that many doctors are actually encouraging, and it is raising blood pressure in a way most people don't connect. I'm not telling you to stop your medication. Never change or stop your blood pressure medication without talking to your doctor first. What I am telling you is that how and when you take it matters enormously. Many common blood pressure medications are absorbed differently depending on what else is in your stomach and how hydrated you are. When taken on a completely empty, dehydrated stomach, which is what most people have immediately upon waking, the timing of peak effectiveness can shift, meaning the medication may not be protecting you during the morning surge hours when you need it most. I had a patient I'll call Dorothy, 74 years old, on 3 medications. Her morning readings were consistently high. When we reviewed her routine, we found she was waking at 6, immediately taking all 3 pills dry with barely a sip of water, then making strong coffee within 10 minutes before eating anything. We adjusted her timing, a full glass of water, a few crackers before her coffee. Her morning readings improved by 14 points within a month. Same medications, different approach. Now, habit number 3. This is the one my patients push back on the hardest, and I understand why. For 30 years, they've been told to do it. I am not saying coffee is bad for you. What I am talking about is a specific pattern. Strong coffee, consumed on an empty stomach, within the first 20 minutes of waking, before water, before food, during the peak of the morning cortisol surge. Caffeine triggers a release of adrenaline and causes your blood vessels to narrow. On top of an already elevated cortisol spike in already stiff arteries, this creates a pressure surge that can be clinically significant. Studies have shown that a single cup of coffee can raise systolic blood pressure by 8 to 10 points for up to 3 hours. In a 35-year-old with flexible arteries, that is manageable. In a 68-year-old whose arteries have lost elasticity and whose morning surge is already pushing pressure upward, those 10 points stack directly on top of everything else. Ronald drank 2 strong cups of coffee before 7 a.m. every day, before eating a single bite. When we asked him to delay his first cup by 45 minutes and eat something small first, his morning average dropped by 7 more points. He still drinks coffee. He'll probably always drink coffee, but now he drinks it after his body has had time to stabilize, and his arteries are no longer paying the price. The fourth habit is the one almost no one thinks about, and in many ways it is the most important one of all: getting out of bed too quickly. When you are lying down, blood is distributed relatively evenly throughout your body. The moment you sit up and stand, gravity pulls blood toward your lower body. Your cardiovascular system has to compensate immediately. In people over 60, this adjustment happens more slowly. The pressure sensors in your blood vessels become less sensitive with age. People who spring out of bed and immediately rush to the bathroom or climb stairs are giving their cardiovascular system a shock before it has had time to properly recalibrate. I had a patient, Helen, 69 years old, former teacher, who would leap out of bed every morning at 5:45. She was proud of it. She was also having morning readings of 168/96. After she began sitting on the edge of the bed for 1 minute before standing, followed by 5 minutes of slow movement and a glass of water, her morning readings dropped by 18 points in 3 weeks. 18 points. No new medication, just a different way of starting the day. None of these habits feel dangerous. That is exactly why they are so dangerous. Checking your phone, drinking your coffee, jumping out of bed, these feel like nothing. They feel like just being alive and getting on with your day. But inside your arteries, especially after 60, these habits are stacking on top of each other during the window when your cardiovascular system is at its most vulnerable. And that stack, over months and years, adds up to accelerated arterial damage, elevated stroke risk, and the slow, silent kind of harm that shows up not in how you feel today, but in what your doctor finds 5 years from now. You are not powerless here. You never were. You just needed someone to explain where to look. So let's make this practical. Starting tomorrow morning, here is exactly what to do. When your alarm goes off, before you reach for your phone, sit up slowly. Spend 30 to 60 seconds sitting on the edge of the bed. Let your body adjust. Then stand slowly. Drink a full glass of water, 8 ounces, room temperature, before anything else. Spend 5 minutes in gentle, slow movement before your first cup of coffee. Take your medications as prescribed, but with a full glass of water, and if possible, after a small bite of food. Wait at least 20 to 30 minutes before coffee, and delay phone and screen use until after you have eaten something and moved your body. Protect those first 30 minutes. Keep your nervous system quiet while your arteries find their footing. And if you want to take this one step further, measure your blood pressure within 15 minutes of waking, before coffee, before medications, before anything. Do this for 2 weeks and keep a log. Bring it to your doctor. That morning number tells a story that afternoon readings simply cannot. Your mornings are not just the start of your day. They are the most important cardiovascular window in your entire 24-hour cycle. Which of these 4 habits sounds most familiar to you? Leave a comment below, because your answer will help me understand what to cover next, and it might help someone else recognize a habit they didn't know was dangerous. If you know someone over 60 who checks their phone first thing in the morning, or springs out of bed the moment their alarm goes off, share this with them. This is exactly the kind of information that doesn't make it into a routine doctor's appointment, and it should. Take care of your mornings. Your heart will thank you for it.